Hello friends, this is Ashirwad here. In this video we'll carry on with the C++ basics series, and today we are going to see data types in C++. Okay, so let's begin. Now in the previous video we saw what is the role of data type in any variable declaration or in any identifier declaration. So what was it? Data type simply means that what type of value we can store in a identifier. Okay, so for example, if I declare int I as a variable or a memory location or identifier, whatever you call it, and I store some value, say 100 in it. So here the value 100 is allowed in this variable because it is an integer. So I can store integer type of value only, and it can be specified, and it is in fact specified by this data type int here. So this is what it means, data types. Okay, so we are going to see one by one what are the basic data types available in C++, in which we can deal while we are writing programs, C++ programs. So let's begin. The first data type that we are going to discuss is char. Okay, this data type allows us to store single character in an identifier. So this is what you have to remember. You can store a single character. So how do you use it? You declare a char type of variable, for example C, and if you want to store any character in it, use single quotes and specify the characters. I suppose I want to store capital X in it, so this is what I have to write. Okay, now the thing you have to understand that why single quotes. Okay, if you do not use single quotes here like this line or this statement will interpret as the value of X is going to be stored in C. Okay, which means X is being treated as a variable right now, which it is not. Okay, I want this X to be treated as a value, not as a variable. So I must tell this thing to compiler, and the way is to use single quotes. Okay, so this is how you can use char data type. And of course every data type occupies allocates some memory, some amount of memory. Okay, so the amount of memory this variable C is going to occupy is 1 byte. Okay, 1 byte is fixed for the data type char. Okay, so this is char data type. The next data type you should know is int, which we have already discussed. Okay, you can store integer numbers in it, but of course there is a range in it. Okay, so the range is this -32768 to 32767. so anything which comes inside this range will be stored or can be stored in an integer type of variable. Okay, anything beyond this range will not be stored. Okay, so this is integer data type, and how many bytes are going to occupy are going to be occupied by this variable n is 2 bytes. Okay, remember integer type of variable occupies 2 bytes of memory. Okay, the next data type is float, and in this data type or the variable of this data type, for example if I write float f, what you can store is, you can store decimal point values like this, okay? And this type of variable occupies 4 bytes of memory, remember that, okay? So we can say f occupies 4 bytes of memory. In this case, n occupies 2 bytes of memory since it is integer, and c occupies 1 byte of memory. So always remember the size of the memory that each variable occupies, and it depends on its data type, okay? So moving on to the next data type is double. So double is just like float, you can store numbers with that decimal point, but the range is of course higher than float. So you can check out the range yourself, okay? You don't need to remember the range, okay? Just the size of the memory you need to remember. So double occupies 8 bytes of memory, okay? In fact, the variable of type double, let me write it, double D, if I store any number in it like this, so in this case this D will occupy how many bytes of memory? 8 bytes of memory, okay? So this is double data type. So we have discussed double, float, int and char. These 4 are mostly used data types in C++, and there are few more things which you can use in order to give your program a better readability, okay? In fact, there are certain words, certain terms that we use along with these data types that can affect the actual range of the variables of these types. So what are these terms? First is signed, okay? Now signed must be written in small letters. First of all, it is a keyword, it has a specific meaning. So what is that meaning, okay? For example, if you write int, okay, and int I, for example, and you write signed int I, both are exactly same, which means signed is the default signature for this type of direct variable declaration. If you don't use the word signed, it is assumed that this int I is signed. What it means is it can store negative as well as positive numbers in it. For example, if I want to store -5 to 5, it is perfectly allowed. So this is what signed means, okay? If you want to restrict this integer I from storing negative numbers, okay, so what you can do is you can make it unsigned, okay? Unsigned int I, which directly means that now you cannot store any negative value in it. So obviously the range of this integer goes up from 0 to, I guess, 65,536 or 35, okay? It will be just it's actually 5, I think. You just check this out, okay? So it is double in fact as compared to normal integer size, as you can see here, okay? Fine. So in fact okay, fine, it is 35 only, okay? Okay, so this is what unsigned means. You cannot store negative numbers if it is integer, okay? And if you have used unsigned with it, and since it is unsigned, since it cannot store negative numbers, its range will go up. So now you can store, suppose 50,000. If you want to store, you can store this 50,000 in unsigned int type of variable. So always remember the difference between signed and unsigned. Signed is default and unsigned you have to write, okay? So this is for integer. Same way you can use signed and unsigned for float and for double as well, and same thing will happen. The range will be simply double. Okay, it cannot store negative numbers, and here also the range will be just double to whatever its range is, and it cannot store negative numbers if it is unsigned. So that is signed and unsigned, guys. I hope the point is clear to you. There is one more term, in fact one more data type you can use. Okay, take it as a fifth data type after double, that is long, and there is a sixth data type long double. Okay, now long is same as long space int. Okay, either you write long or you write long int, both are same, and you use it like this: long I is equal to some integer number. Okay, long is used to store only integer numbers, guys. Remember, you cannot store any number with a decimal point. Okay, the range of long int is higher than the normal int. Okay, hence it occupies more memory. In fact, it occupies 4 bytes of memory, remember that. Okay, and in this case long double, the range is higher than normal double type of variable. You can use it like this: long double d is equal to some larger number. Okay, fine, semicolon, and it occupies more memory as compared to a normal double type of variable. So it occupies 10 bytes, remember that. Okay, normal double type of variable occupies 8 bytes of memory, and long double type of variable occupies 10 bytes of memory. And if you ask, it is the data type which allocates largest amount of memory. And which data type allocates this least amount of memory? It is char, since it allocates only 1 byte of memory. So this is the concept of data types available in C++. I hope it is clear to you. In the next video, I will be explaining operators and the other tokens that are used in C++. So thank you so much for watching. Do like and subscribe.